I'm Jim with Marine Electronics Installation, here to talk a little bit more about subwoofers. We recently did a video on stereos, but I wanted to go a little more in depth on subwoofers by themselves. We have a lot of questions on them. First off, subwoofer is mainly going to be used for deep bass. Bass guitar is a good example, kick drum's another good example. It'll be the type of music that you can feel a real deep response. This is where a lot of smaller speakers are lacking, so the addition of an amplifier and a subwoofer can really fill in the bass and give a more complete sound to the stereo system. First off, we're getting ready to install a JL Audio subwoofer system in a boat here in a few days, so I happen to have this equipment handy. I'm not trying to promote JL Audio in any way. It is good equipment. We do install a lot of it. But as you can see from the size of this subwoofer, this is a 10-inch diameter subwoofer and the M6 series. And this thing is big, it's heavy, it weighs about 10 pounds, and takes up a lot of room in the boat. So if you don't have a lot of room in your boat, there are some other options. They do make some 8-inch subs. There are some other manufacturers that have smaller magnets on the back, actually smaller baskets, and a little bit narrower profile, not as deep. Some of those subs still sound pretty good. Some of them are not. You just have to listen to them and see. But that is a 10-inch JL Audio subwoofer. Because these things are so heavy and large, a lot of times the mounting can be a bit challenging on them. This particular boat is a Jupiter. We have a panel. This used to be a solid piece of starboard when we started. We've used our CNC machine. We've cut the hole in here to fit the subwoofer so we can just drop it in. But a lot of weight here between the panel and the subwoofer both. We're probably pushing 15 pounds. But you can see the subwoofer actually will drop right in that hole when we're done, and we will bolt that in. This will most likely be through bolted with not screws but actually bolts with washers and nuts on the back, and the actual starboard panel here will most likely be through bolted into the boat also, just for strength. This is 1/2-inch material. This is about as small as I would actually go to support the subwoofer. We're going to do this because it's already in the boat, and we've got enough room here that we can add enough through bolts to strengthen this thing up, make it strong enough to hold it. That being said, I would not put a subwoofer of that size and weight through a 1/4-inch piece of starboard or a piece of glass that is less than 1/4 of an inch thick. It just doesn't have the strength to hold the speaker. Another thing is amp to drive it. Obviously, if you have a subwoofer, you're going to have an amplifier to drive the subwoofer. And this particular system, we are using a JL Audio M700 amp. Nice amps, pretty compact. This is what they call a Class D amp. Class D amplifiers are a little bit smaller. They use a little less current from the batteries, and they are pretty efficient, a lot more efficient than the older amplifiers. All of the RCA and wire connections and adjustments are on the bottom of this amp and underneath this gray cover that comes off of the front of it. But as you can see, another piece of equipment, we have to have room to mount. So we also have to have some pretty large cable running into this. Don't know if you can really get a good look at the size of the terminals here for the power wire coming in. This amplifier actually calls for 4-gauge wire. That's about the same size of the wire most engines use to start. So, you know, it's getting pretty large, and there's pretty good power requirements from your battery system to operate an amplifier like this. You don't have to have one quite this large, but even the smaller amplifiers, they can draw a lot of current. So that's our next point, is you have to have a battery bank that is large enough to support the amplifier and the currents it's going to draw. You can put this amp and this subwoofer on a small battery system with, say, a little Group 24 battery, and it will work, but you'll find out that battery will go dead quite fast, and you will shorten the life of that battery drastically if you run this on there very often. So a lot of times these systems get installed in small boats that only have a single or dual battery system with a couple small batteries. Initially, this seems to work just fine, but the owners find out they're replacing batteries every year or two when they run their stereo a lot. What that is just too much of a load for that small of a battery. So really, if you're thinking about a subwoofer in your boat, it's a good idea to have a qualified electrician or someone very familiar with stereo systems come out and actually look at the boat, look at the battery system, charging system in the boat, and the physical room on the boat, just to make sure that the system will actually fit into the boat. We've had a few occasions where owners have purchased the equipment we get out there and there's just no physical way to put this in the boat, or the battery system that's there now is just not capable of supporting the amplifier or sometimes multiple amplifiers that are purchased. So these are some important points. Just wanted to go over that real quick and just cover that with you. We've been installing a lot of subwoofer systems over the last 6 months. For some reason, there just seems to be a huge boost in popularity on these right now. Most of what we're doing right now is JL Audio, although we're doing some other brands. There's some good brands out there. But just keep in mind, they just won't fit in any boat, in any spot, and sometimes the battery systems have to be modified on the boat to make these work. Hopefully this answers a few questions people have about subwoofers and their stereo systems and amplifiers, and a little bit about what it takes to put this system in a boat. I thank you for watching, and hopefully you got something out of this video, and we'll do some more in the future. Thank you.